All right, guys, I'm real excited about today's guest. Murray Richman is from the neighborhood, well known in the Bronx community, has been practicing law since 1964, has practiced exclusively criminal law. He is a former president of New York State Association for Criminal Defense Lawyers, as well as a lifetime member of National Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers. He has tried to completion over hundreds of criminal matters and has probably tried more cases than any other single practitioner in the city of New York. Murray has been referred to in many books, including A Lawyer's Life by Johnny Cochran. He has been on countless shows, has his own radio show, Don't Worry Murray, every Wednesday. Recently, Robert De Niro purchased Murray's life story for a television series, which is now being written. And it's a pleasure and an honor to have you on, sir. Thank you.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you very much.
It's wonderful being a lawyer, and it's wonderful being here.
Appreciate it. So that last part with Robert De Niro is very interesting. And who would you like to play if they do your life story? Who do you think would be good?
I told you that before, and you're wondering, everybody wants me to be played by myself, of course, or De Niro, but I kind of favor Denzel Washington.
Okay, sounds good.
No, not for, I like Denzel Washington.
Amazing actor, yes.
Yes, I know I'm not African American, but he always plays African American parts. I want to see if he's that great an actor, if he can play a non-African American.
I love it.
But that's a different point of view, and I'm not being detrimental of his abilities. I think he's an extremely active actor, but I think it would be an interesting take on my life.
I agree. So I mentioned to you what my show's about. It's about people's journey to success. I mean, you've been doing it so long. You are the epitome of the people we like to have on this show. And I'd like to start from the beginning, if that's possible, like how growing up, what that was like for you.
I grew up in the South Bronx. I grew up in an area, Corona Park, East. My parents were immigrants who were foreign born, having been born in Romania. My father didn't become a citizen until rather late in life. In fact, not till the early 60s. And I was well on my way to becoming an attorney by the time he became a citizen. He just didn't have confidence. In those days, you had to have a reading ability, and he couldn't do it. But he did put 3 sons through college and grad school, and I went to law school as well as social work school. And I started out in my career desirous of being a social worker. I was going to save the world. It came to a point that I just wanted to save myself, realizing that it was impossible to save the world. I've had an interesting journey, a journey becoming a lot more selfish than I should have been, mainly because you want to tend towards being a selfless person. Tendency, having been in the real world for a while, it's just the opposite occurs. And it's not always the best of ways, but it does create the nature of the person. It's impossible to be a successful lawyer or a successful anything without having a good vantage point of looking at yourself positively. And you've got to look at yourself in a winning factor and recognize one of the structures that drives you is the will to have, to achieve, to make something of yourself. And I know I'm speaking without questions.
No, I love it. Yeah.
My father came from the other side. He was always afraid of government by its very nature. If he got a little notification from IRS, he'd come running and ask me to explain it. That motivated me.
At what age would something like that happen?
My father, throughout his whole life.
No, for you. Like, at what age did you realize you wanted to be a lawyer? What was the first time you realized that?
I actually really became a lawyer after I was working in the court system as a social worker. My desire was to save people. And when I worked for the New York City Youth Board, and I got a job in the court system as a social worker back in 1959. I know I'm remarkably young looking, but
yes, 100%.
It's amazing. But the reality was, you want to do something, and you're driven to become something. That's the key.
Right. So did you realize from the beginning that you were good at it? Like, when did you learn, like, this is for you? And did you doubt yourself at all, or did you know this was your thing?
You always doubt. You learn. You learn along the way. You get better, and you keep learning, and you continue to go. And that's what happens. It works. The whole thing works. And I initially didn't wish to go into criminal law. The criminal law found me. Having worked in the court system, I was familiar with the law. And as such, I got involved in bigger and bigger cases. It might be interesting for some of your listeners if they look up my name with Errol Morris, who did the Fog of War, won the Academy Award for Fog of War. And he did a great piece on me. which gives the whole history of my life.
I watched it. I watched it. Yeah, that's very good. So, is there a moment? Is there like a case? When do you become? Don't worry, Murray. Do you win a big case and you're like, I become the man? You know what I mean?
You do. Suddenly you start getting out there. You thrown into a situation, and before you know it, you're approaching things in a manner that is different. Rather than just try the case with the facts, you look at an edge in every case. How can I make this case different? How can I approach this case differently? And you get a reputation of working a little smarter for your client, doing a little extra, and you do it. I remember my first big case was a arson case involving alleged persons in organized crime. I won that case. That brought other person's attention to me. And I've been in practice now 54 years. And I can honestly say I've never had a bad year. I work hard. I've had my troubles. I've had my difficulties. Nobody goes through life unmarked. I've been beaten up and chewed out and spit out, whatever you call it. But the foul analysis, I'm here. I've tried literally 400, and as of this afternoon, 40 cases. And
what is the normal for a lawyer? What's an average number? Like you're just saying you tried 440, but do you know? Like
I don't think there's another lawyer who's tried another even 120.
That's amazing. But so you're 4 times.
I'm not comparing. This is what I do.
Right. No, I'm just curious for our listeners. Right.
They come to me with I can try cases.
Right.
You know, years ago during the O.J. Simpson case, there was a guy who was in charge of the O.J. Simpson case initially, and he was Shapiro.
I remember. Yeah.
And he called himself a negotiator. He was the lawyer in charge. But he had never tried a case. He called himself a negotiator because every case ended up in a plea. Well, Clausewitz, who was a philosopher of war, said that war is the natural extension of diplomacy. When diplomacy fails, you have to be able to go to war. Trial is the natural extension of negotiation. When you're trying the case, when you're negotiating the case, and the DA doesn't want to give you what you want, and your client still wants to push further, you have to go to trial. So trial is a natural extension of negotiation. If you've never ever tried a case, you can't negotiate it, because the DA is going to say, well, he's not going to have the guts to go to trial. I'll give him what I feel is right. Is he going to take it or not?
So you got to be willing to go to war.
It's a whole secret of success. And that's the truth. That's really, and it's a full philosophy on that issue. I've often said it. I don't know if people view it that way, but that's an honest way of looking at it.
And just in any business being a success, you think that or just for a lawyer?
You have to be willing to go to that extra mile and keep it within the boundaries. You know, a lot of guys cut corners. The only thing you cut off when you cut corners is you cut off your own hand. A lot of guys want to make money and be successful on doing something improperly or doing something. That's just plain stupid. You end up giving money to people like me. Because when you do something stupid, you're going to get in trouble. You come to a lawyer, you start crying. Oh, I need the help.
I saw something like that today. They said, I want to build the biggest, some people want to build the biggest building, but they want to build it by tearing other people's buildings down. Or you could build the biggest building by building the biggest building, right?
Absolutely. But you have to do it right. You know, I'm appalled when people think it's okay to cheat and steal and do everything wrong.
Right, by any means, exactly.
It isn't right. And I'm not no blue nose by any means.
Right.
I've lived with the best criminals in the world. I've represented the mob. I've represented business persons. I've represented street dealers and drug dealers. In fact, I recently had a drug case where a client and I we negotiated the plea. Part of the plea was he had to pay $100,000 to the government. And he said, I'm not paying that kind of money. I worked hard for that money. I said, no, you didn't. You're a drug dealer. You didn't work hard at all. And you're going to pay that money, whether you like it or not. And of course he paid. They all cry.
Right.
But the reality is, you have to just do what you're supposed to do. There are no shortcuts in life. Everybody wants to go to heaven, but nobody wants to die.
That's it. I love that. I say that all the time. And the success is the habits, what you do every day, right? There's no shortcuts, right? You're doing it every day, right?
Yeah. When you get up in the morning, you start your day. And sometimes I get up in the morning, I say, gee, I want to crawl back into bed. But I don't. And I get up and push myself, and I drag myself. And there are people here sitting in this room who can tell you, I go to work sometimes and I don't really want to, but I got to be there. People depend upon me, and I recognize that in some ways I depend upon them. And it's a symbiotic relationship. I need them as much as they need me.
Right. I feel the same. I have a team. You feel like you're doing it for them, right? I feel
Well,
the same
it's
way.
not because you have to do it.
Right.
You feel empty if you don't. And that's the action.
So do you feel the same way now as you did when you first you had that same drive and desire?
You got me at a good day, Bert. I've been really not very happy.
You look happy today.
I got a cold.
It's okay.
I've been fighting a cold for a long time. I've been on trial for a long time. I'm drained and tired, complaining. I'm getting old. I hate that. But when you have a win, it all becomes worthwhile.
That's it.
Suddenly you say, hey, look at me. I still got it.
That is why I do it. Yeah.
You're lying to yourself all the time. And that's the whole secret of success. Keep lying.
So somebody comes to you and they want you to represent them. Are you looking for that you have a chance to win it, or that doesn't even matter? Like with a realtor, if someone calls, they want to buy a house, I check if they can buy a house. Are you looking, can you win this case? Like if the fingerprints were on the gun, they're definitely going to go away, or you take any case. How does that work?
People come to you for different reasons. First thing they have to do is be able to pay you.
Okay.
3 things work for nothing: a mule, a tool, and a fool. I'm neither. And that's the reality. First, I have to be able to secure counsel. I don't do it for noble reasons. No, I do not do pro bono work. No, I don't do work for nothing. Not intentionally. I have done things for nothing. Not that I really want to do, but I got stuck doing it. But the reality is, it's a profession. And the only thing difference between a professional and an amateur is one thing: payment.
Right.
An amateur does the same work as a professional, but he doesn't get paid.
Okay.
I'm a professional.
But I didn't even mean the money part of it.
It's important.
Right. Okay.
Because if you take away the financial motivation, you take away a significant chunk of what you're doing. And what are we doing it for?
Right.
I mean, you're not selling real estate because of the fact that
Right.
you have a desire to sell real estate.
Right.
You desire to make a living and support your family and do the right thing. I too have the same motivation.
Right. I got you. So, but if someone has the money, that's what I mean, and you know you're going to get paid for sure. Do you look if you needed to have a chance to win, or that doesn't matter? You're going to represent anybody.
You have to evaluate the case.
That's what I mean.
You got to really evaluate the case. You got to see what you can do. There are some cases that are not winnable, but there are some cases that your mere presence can reduce the burden of the negativity of what could result. If a guy is facing 2 years instead of life imprisonment, what are you going to do? You can help the guy.
Gotcha.
And the reality, there's different degrees.
Right. So,
pardon me, that's real.
So I have to say again, I love the the nickname. I'm big on nicknames, and it's a perfect name for your position. Obviously, don't worry, Murray. So how did it come to be? Did you think of it yourself, or you don't want to? No. So
every client credits himself.
Sure.
I have one guy, Vinny Bondi, who I've known since he's 13 years of age. He's now in his 60s. He claims that he gave me that. Another client, Len Menudo, he claims to have given it to you. My friend Vinny claims to have given it to me. I can give you 12 persons who absolutely guarantee that they were the ones who gave me that name. Right. I give everybody the credit. They all gave it to me.
Okay.
It doesn't really matter.
I love it. So obviously we've talked about the number of cases you try and the high profile people. Is there ever a case that you remember that you were like, I'm definitely going to win this one, and then you didn't, or you thought you did, and you still think about, I wish I would have did something different, or you got to let it go. You let it go.
You've got to let it go. The reality is you fool yourself. I remember there was a time when I have an associate, Renee Hill. She's with me for 27 years. We tried 10 cases together, got 10 acquittals, back to back. I like the murder cases because there's one less witness to worry about. You know?
Right.
But I tried a lot of them, and I kept doing all these murder cases, and we thought we were unbeatable. And then we came across one murder case which we really liked the client. He was charming, good smile, and everything else. But he was like a crazy killer. But he was so nice. And we went, and the case we blew. He got convicted. He didn't feel bad. He knew what he did. He got 6
Right.
people. So I doubted myself for a moment. And I said, how stupid. But that's God's way of telling you, don't think too well of yourself. Every once in a while, you got to get a smack in the face and wake up. I woke up. And then you go back and retrench and do it again.
Yeah.
You're not going to win every case. Years ago, I tried a case, the Westchester Premier Theater case with Sinatra. Remember that?
I don't.
Well, everybody's doesn't remember anything.
But I would love to hear it.
Well, in Westchester, you had the something called the Westchester Premier Theater.
Okay.
It was built by Steve Ross and I forgot the company. It's a major company.
Okay.
Watch all crime on television.
Okay.
And he did it in proximity with the mall. And they built this wonderful theater around. And they brought in all kinds of shows. And one of the shows they brought in was Sinatra, Dean Martin, and Sammy Davis Jr. And they were shading money off, and there was a lot of money stolen. The feds got involved, and they indicted Warner Communications. So they indicted people from Warner and the people from the mall. And I had one of the clients in that case. And if you saw the videotape on me, that was the case where my client fell asleep, slept right through the
Yeah. I remember. And you told them to wake up or something, or stay asleep on purpose, right? Or something like that. Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
So, but I'm not using it for that purpose. But that was a perfect example. We had won that case. Our client was the only one acquitted, which was a very significant win. But during the course of the case, we asked to have the opportunity to interview Frank Sinatra. And because we wanted to, we just used that as an excuse. We said we may use him as a witness, which was nonsense.
That's funny.
We interviewed him, and he couldn't have been nicer.
Really?
Yeah. And then he said, hey, fellas, was 4 lawyers. What do you got planned? I said, no, Frank, what are you up to? He said, we're going to Jilly's place. It's not Jilly's place, I'm sorry. Separate tables. One of the defendants on the case owned separate tables at 25th and 3rd. We went there and spent the night with Frank Sinatra.
Amazing.
It was great. Had nothing to do with anything with law. It was a great opportunity.
So you took a perk. Yeah, of course. That's great.
One of the side deals you have. But the trying case is interesting. But sometimes the clients really get to you. Clients can get on your nerves. You want to choke them. And it makes a big difference. So
I'm going to take a line from the movie The Bronx Tale. And I'm sure you'll like it. When De Niro tells his son, you did a good thing for a bad man, right? So if you get somebody off, and you know in your mind you feel like they did it, but you got them off, do you ever have any regrets, or are you okay with that?
Well, by and large, yeah. By and large, I have no difficulty with that whatsoever. And I say by and large. There are exceptions. And in fact, I make reference to one exception I had, where I beat a murder case for a guy, and he went out and murdered again.
That's what I was going to say. The concern's got to be you got him on, they commit another crime, right? And then you feel a little bit of something, right?
Murdered again, and then they indicted him and convicted him in Florida, where he got life, but they commuted him to 10 years. And after 10 years, he got out of jail, coming back to the Bronx. And then he killed his girlfriend here in the Bronx. And then he did the right thing. He killed himself.
Yeah.
It's a reality. These are the things you deal with. And you, but by and large, if I win a case, it's not my concern. It's society's nature to try to convict these persons. It's my duty to undo it. And I have no difficulty. Many of these things would never happen again. And if they do, it's life in a big city. But there are occasions when you feel guilty of what you do. And I'd be disingenuous to suggest to you that there's no basis in fact to feel uncomfortable about that. Without above feelings, just by being a lawyer doesn't make us somehow superior. We're just people.
Right.
Smart people.
Is there, and when you're going into a case and you know who the prosecution, and you ever think like, I'm gonna whip this guy, like you can't all the time everybody. Right? So there's nobody that you're like, I might have to study a little harder for this guy or something like that. There's no competition.
No, it's not a question of competition. It's ego. It's all ego. You go into this thing.
You got to believe you're gonna win, right?
I try to be humble, but it's good well being humble. Pardon me, I'm so sorry.
But there's a difference between confidence and arrogance, right? So you have to be confident. And anybody successful, they have to have confidence, right? If you're timid and you don't think you can do it, the first step to being successful is thinking you can do it, right?
If you feel you can't do it,
when you got no shot, that's it. Whatever you believe you can't do it, it'll happen, right? You believe that you have no shot.
That's the bottom line.
Yes. So you have to be confident, especially with what you do, right?
It's better than working for a living. Remember that.
So,
Look, feel it. Take a look at my hands. Look at that.
what about it?
Touch me. No, touch my, really.
Yeah.
Soft to speak in the phone.
Yeah, you play the piano.
Never did a day's work in my life.
Nice.
And I see him touching your hands at the same time. And I see how rough your hands
Yeah.
are. I don't do any of that work.
Gotcha.
Whenever I have the urge to do a hammer or a nail in the wall, I call up my carpenter. I don't know how to do it myself.
Right. But I'll tell you, that's one thing I learned from this place and working in real estate, because I used to be in that way. I would say I could save money, like painting or doing something. Well, now you realize time is money, so I could be making more money while I'm paying that guy a certain amount of money to do that job, right?
There's no question. The whole purpose of money is to give you more time to do the things you do to make more money.
Exactly.
And that's one of the realities. Life is not just making money. It should never be just making money. It's got to be a purpose in life. You have to have, kind of a moral center. Because if you don't, what are you? You're nothing more than an animal. But at the same time, you recognize the importance of economic survival. And you do so within a reasonable degree of practicality. You just don't become a fool. It's not only about money. And if it is, get out.
Right.
You're in the wrong place.
Right. And I believe exactly the opposite. I believe when it's not about money, that's when you make money. When it's your passion and you like what you're doing.
Really?
That's what I believe. Me selling real estate, I love my job and I'm passionate about it. And I think people who love their job, people that are going every day working and don't like their job.
Ask yourself, you're a salesman.
Right.
What are you selling for? You're selling for money.
No, I know what the end result is, but I like when the people tell me some guy I sold his house in Country Club for a lot of money. He hugged me and said, "You made my life." Yeah, and I like that part of it. You know what I'm saying? He said I set up him and his family for the rest of his life. And that made me feel good about the job. And to get a check along with that is nice.
I feel the same way when I win a case and keep a guy from going to jail for the rest of his life.
Good. Yeah.
But I really don't care.
Okay.
I like what I do.
Right. But you don't think you need to like what you think people who wake up every day and are miserable at their jobs, it's hard. For me, that's all about money. You said it can't be about money. Isn't that all about money?
The vast majority of people, no, it really isn't. Because the vast majority of the sadness of it comes when there's not sufficient money. That you're doing things where the money is the method by which you're appreciated. And you're not making enough to feel appreciated for. When you're working and you're not making enough money, or at least you feel it's not enough money, you're doing everything because you're struggling. But if you're making enough money, believe me, it feels so much better. There's a certain warmness that creates in my heart when my pocket is full.
I hear you. No, it's nice to, even if you're going to take care of other people, you need to make it yourself before you can help others. Correct? People right?
Your obligation is first to yourself,
and your friend.
And then you can do it. Right. Your family is part of you.
Right.
And I believe it. I have a lot of people working with me. I like the action. I've trained a lot of people over the years, and just having left my office with a young woman who was with me when she started out. Now she's the president of the Dominican Bar. And she was one of my interns. And she came a long way. I'm proud to see that.
Of course.
A lot of young people.
But that's what a leader is supposed to create other leaders, right?
Well, I'm not saying, to take the concept that I'm a leader somehow. I don't know. I survived. I don't know what the criteria is for taking leadership. There was a time that I took pride in myself about the things I did. Sometimes it's maybe not the best thing to do. Yeah, you do the best you can, and if you can just get through life without too many bumps in the road, it's pretty good. And there's a period of time in life where everything seems unstoppable. But having gotten over that hump, you get the practicality of life. Life is not easy. You got to deal with it.
It seems to get harder. You would think it gets easier as you go. It gets harder as you go, right?
After suffering loss, and more loss, and additional loss, you start saying, where do we go with this? When you're young and it's all achievement, and you're getting a new house, a new car, and a new wife, and a girlfriend on the side. Wow, that's fantastic. And then you get to the point where things are starting to happen. Your cousin dies, your father dies, your mother goes.
The girlfriend wants to become the wife. Everything gets messed up. It all gets screwy. Everybody gets out of position.
Life. Take this part off of the hair.
So, That's the reality of it, right?
Well, that's reality.
Right. So how has practicing now versus practicing back then changed? That what have you noticed has been
There
the
was an
biggest change?
adventure. The sense of adventure is not here. And this is the sad part of my life right now. It could be because I'm older, or it could be because the nature of the practice has changed. But it's not the excitement that it once was. I love the Bronx. I've made my life in the Bronx. I don't practice only in the Bronx. I practice the whole country. I've gone to Europe on cases. I've gone to Holland on cases, in England on cases. I've been to France on a case. I've been to Germany on a case. And it's fascinating. It's all great. It's different today. It's more of a hard-working business today. I think the judges are different. I think the practice is different. But there are very few private criminal defense lawyers around anymore. The people who call themselves private lawyers are persons who are on dole. They receive money from the state to work as private lawyers. It's not the same. Interestingly enough, I was in court today before Judge Fabrizio, and he was saying, Murray, you were one of the last of the interesting characters around. And I was surprised because he and I had words before. He says, I was telling my son about you. He said he looked you up. And I said, yeah. He says, do you remember the times when we used to go out with the judges and the dinners and hanging out together at the pause with the DA together while the case was out? I certainly do. It's not done anymore.
Is it frowned upon or just not done?
It's not done because now, first of all, we used to have, when a jury trial was out, the jury would be going overnight. You'd keep the jury till 10 o'clock at night. And the DA, the lawyer, and the judge would go out to dinner together. And we hang out, we tell stories, we became friends. It's not that anymore. Everything is 9 to 5. Nobody works overtime. There's just too much repetitiveness. And the judges are really never having practiced defense lawyers themselves. They don't know the rules of the road. They're too formal. It's just a different world. It's not as much fun.
Right.
I loved it in the good old days. Maybe I'm just saying it because I was young in the good old days. But in speaking with others of the same vintage and even younger vintage, they're saying it's just not the same.
So that was going to be one of my questions to someone aspiring to come up to be a criminal attorney or attorney period. Do you have any advice for them? Or?
Yeah, find something else.
Really? How about the economics of it? Like, you know how we talk about like real estate. My father bought a house for $40,000 in 1970. Now it's houses are that same house is $700,000. Right, yeah, $700,000. Is it
factor of 11, by the way?
Right. How about for attorneys? Was the pay different? And
Sure.
Right now.
Oh, sure.
So
I remember 1960. Let me see, 1965. My first year out as a lawyer, I made $17,000 a year. And I was doing great. At that time, I was able to have a family. I was able to $17,000. My previous job in the Youth Council Bureau, the DA's office, paid $7,500 a year. My next year out was $32,000, and the year after that, $44,000.
But that's big money in
those years.
Yeah.
It's a geometrical progression.
Right.
But that was life. I don't know.
But not every job escalates. Like people who have common jobs, like a mailman or like a phone man.
Being a lawyer is a profession. It's not a job. It's not a job. You make your own hours. You make your own pay. You make your own everything. And if you're good, you make your own clientele. My biggest joy was I used to go on a Friday night, go bouncing, especially in the Bronx. There was tons of social clubs here in the Bronx, or bars up and down Williamsbridge Road and Eastchester Road, and going down there, Plum Park, where we would laugh. It was great parts, the lamplight, the black and white. It was just Shade Joey. It was just Tender Trap. All great things. You go bouncing club to club, and you have your business cards with you. Hello there, I'm a lawyer. Go and hand them out. And hey, you're a lawyer. I got a case. And you pick up cases. It was exciting. It was awe-inspiring. Today you can't do that. Today there's no place to go.
So how do you prospect for
I don't have
your
to.
business? You don't. But someone coming up, how would they prospect? Right. Because you built. Yeah, exactly.
But how does a young guy start today? I don't know.
Right.
You tell me.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
That's how we started.
But a lot of people, listen, whatever it is, you put in the work. Just like I put in the work that people call me now to sell their house because I've been doing it 10 years and they know I've been doing it and I sold their brothers. That's the same thing, right? So the people today, are they willing to put in that same work?
It takes 5 years.
You know how many people I see coming to real estate? They talk all of this talk and then 3 months they're gone because they're not willing to put in the work that it takes.
Well, they think it's quick money.
Right.
And they make one sale and they said, gee, we make $4,000
Exactly.
per sale.
Exactly.
I'm going to make 10 sales. But they're not making 10 sales. Same thing.
But I would think becoming an attorney is a lot harder than getting your real estate license. People would know what they're in for, right?
But you know, I got to tell you, many lawyers don't ever go into practice law. Roughly speaking, I think only about 15% actually practice law. The others get jobs in other areas they can't handle it, or they fool around with law and then they drift out.
Really?
Yeah, I'm utterly amazed. When I graduated law at the beginning there was no women in my class when I graduated law school.
Okay.
In 1964, there was not a single woman in my class out of New York Law School. Pardon me again. The following year, Judge Judy was
Really?
graduated.
That's interesting.
She was one of 3 women in the class out of 125. And years later, we have now more than 50% of women.
I was just thinking.
My daughter works with me. My daughter's been practicing law for 25 years. She's another one. Renee Hill.
A lot of the real estate attorneys that I know are mostly women as well.
We have people who
Right.
work, we have the profession. And this is the criminal field. And it's just it's an amazing thing that's really going on right now. The difference is that women can't go out and go bouncing from club to
Right,
club
right.
building a practice because
Right.
it gives them a bad reputation.
Right.
It wouldn't sound right. It's a different thing.
What do you think has kept you motivated this long? Like what we said before, is it the money? Just strictly the money?
No, yeah. Money has been a factor.
No worries.
Pardon me.
Yeah, no worries.
I've been fighting this cold now for a month, and it just seems to be getting worse. I have to do something about it. But I'm sorry if I hope
It's
you
okay.
cleared that up.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, no worries.
But the reality is, money is a factor. It would be disingenuous to me again to suggest to you that it's not a factor. It's important, but the interest and excitement. And I like helping. I like doing. I like helping people. And let's face it, you got to cut through a lot of crap. A lot of people give you a lot of nonsense. Mere words are not sufficient to make it satisfactory to you. People give you puff when they pat you on the back, and I don't want to be loved. I'd rather be treated because I know what I'm doing. I want to be respected because I know what I'm doing. I don't want to be. Don't tell me how great I am and pat me on the back as a means to avoid pain. Don't pat me on the back to think I'm going to work harder. I'm going to work hard because it's the right thing to do. It's in my nature. Am I doing it right? I think so. Do I actually know so? No. You got to do the best you can. If you do the best you can, hopefully you'll get there. Look, we work hard in creating ourselves. We have to create ourselves from beginning to end. And once we know who we are, which may never happen, by the way, it makes it so much easier. And you'd be surprised.
For me, I think you have to find what you're good at and then go all in, right? If you're half pregnant on a million things, you can never be right. If you find that
You can't
thing,
dance at more than one wedding.
exactly.
Yeah, one wedding at a time. But you also don't. Sorry.
No problem. Yeah. Take some water.
Yeah, it's horrible. And but I didn't want to disappoint my associate to be.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
You got to focus on what you do and what you can do, but don't clown yourself. A lot of people want to say how good they are. And they're looking for others to tell them how good they are. You got to be true to yourself. And if you feel you're doing right, continue. Don't worry about what other people say. Just focus on
That's
what you're doing.
That's a big thing. I agree.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I'm watching you do this thing here, this podcast situation. It's innovative, and I got to give you credit for that.
Thank you.
And you make it work. And I hope you do make it work.
I appreciate that.
And I opened up my own podcast on WVOX, and it's kind of decent play. And one of the real biggest stations try to snag me. I don't want it to get any bigger than I am. It's time now to lessen my burden. There comes a time in life where you see what you have and proceed to start letting go.
That was actually going to be my next and last question. Was do you have a goal, 5-year plan?
No, I have a 1-year
At this
plan.
point, you're pulling out. You're
Well, no, I
you
like
cashing in the chips.
I like the cashew chips. I like what I do. I have to continue doing it. I think I have a story to tell, and I have people to do it with. I have a lot of young lawyers who want to learn and willing to help them. I will continue to help them. But the reality is, it's time to move on. And I don't know how many more trials I anticipate doing, but I'm not anxious to do any more trials. I finished a trial today. It was a very successful trial, and it ended beautifully. But I can't tell you that the 4 weeks I was on trial, I feel like I went through a ringer. I thought I was squeezed through, and it just drained of every drop of moisture in my body.
What? You think it's just because you've been doing it so long?
No, because it was so much is riding on it. I had a young man who's been in jail 4 years waiting for trial. Because that's the system is so screwed up. 4 years waiting for trial. There's something that I do not perceive that he was guilty of.
Amazing. That's a heavy load to carry, right?
And he walked away from this.
Nice.
And of course, it's very nice.
Right.
And you pat yourself on the back. And you want to say the good ones, you did a great job. But, again, sorry.
It's okay.
But but the question is, how many more of these wins do you have in you before you drain out and die? It's a concern, a real concern.
I respect everything you're doing. I appreciate you coming on. And at the end of my show, I have a part where people who know me know I like NBA basketball and rap music. So I'm going to ask you 3 questions. I'm going to ask you your favorite NBA player. And I was worried about it.
Hold.
NBA basketball. It could be anybody.
I haven't the slightest
Really?
idea.
You don't even know Michael Jordan. You don't know one guy.
Yeah, sure, I know.
So you can go for the easy answer.
There's no easy answer.
But I'm going to ask you a rapper too, and I think you know rappers,
I
right?
know rappers very well.
So I'm going to ask you your favorite rapper. Can I ask you that question?
DMX is my man.
Yeah, all right. I love it.
DMX,
So DMX is
I represent DMX.
right. Do you know a song of his or an album that you like, or not really? That in detail.
Coming up, what was this, Valerie? What was that? The song we played in court for him?
Slipping.
I'm Slipping by DMX.
Yeah,
Love it. No, I love it. I'm a fan of DMX
I
myself.
played that in the federal court, and if you listen to Michael Mark Cohen, his lawyer asked that the same sentence that DMX got, and be allowed to the Mark Cohen got, and he didn't. My client, like DMX, got 1 year. Mark Cohen, as you know who he was, on the Trump case,
Right.
got 3.
You think it's because you played the song?
Not because
I'm only
well, that was
joking.
part of it. Make no mistake, that was definitely part of it. And by the way, there's several rappers have mentioned my name. The Jadakiss dropped the song, but she said, "Well, you need a lawyer called Murray."
I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
Then Lil Wayne did one similarly.
Nice.
And then there was another one who had a whole song about "Don't Worry, Murray."
You're a legend. You're a legend out here.
An old legend.
And I appreciate you coming, and thank you so much for your
It's
time.
a pleasure meeting you and
Yeah.
pleasure working with you.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.